G'day folks, Wayne from Land and Bay Fishing. Welcome back to the channel. Different sort of a video. This is sort of a follow-up video from the last one I did. The last one we did was a bit of a maps and spots type video, and we covered the areas, the shallow reef areas, just like the area you can see behind us, from Scarborough right up the top, North Reef, all the way down to the jetty. Quite a good video, very popular video, lots of comments, and I got quite a few requests in relation to what sort of rigs do I use and how do we fish it. And I've got to say, it is really difficult to fish shallow reef. You can fish it just normally with a normal little spin gear, light setup and no weight, flick it out. You will get snags, but you'll also catch fish. What I'm going to show you today are the rigs that I prefer to use when I'm fishing over shallow reef. Now these rigs aren't just rigs for your normal everyday brim and flathead. These rigs are the rigs for bigger fish. So your cod, your snapper, your sweeties, anything big that swims out here, even the occasional Jew. That's what these rigs are set up for, and they're set up for fishing exactly what you can see behind me, the shallow reef. So what we'll do, we'll start with the rod and the reels. I've brought down three just to show you a bit of a show and tell in relation to the rods and the reels that I used. I'll show you them first, then I'll show you the actual business end, the rigs and the setup I use. Firstly, reel size is important here. It holds a good quality 40-pound line, which is what I want to use right through to the bottom of the spool, and it's a quite a heavy rod, so it'll throw good jigs. This one throws up to 120 grams, I think, 40 to 120 grams. It's an 8'3" pressure point by Okuma. So that's my first rod. The reel is just a I think there's an 8000 Surf 8K, and that's 40-pound Super 100 all the way through. Show you the next couple of rods. Okay, the second rod is a 13-foot Trio Rex by Okuma. It's also a good surf rod. It'll throw from 3 to 6 ounce, and it's weighted line class 20 to 30 pound. So this is a reel that goes with the rod. It's an Okuma Distance Surf 6000. Holds a good amount of line, especially 30-pound braid. Holds quite a deal of line there. It's probably 300 to 400 with a bit of backing on the back. This one here's got a brush that runs alongside the spool, so as the spool goes up and down, it brushes against the spool and the line and takes a lot of that sand that's flying around. So it is a beach rod, beach reel, this one. Very good reel. So lastly, if money's no object, this is the setup you want. It's certainly my favourite setup. It's a beach setup, and this reel is for beach fishing, it's for everything fishing. This one here, it's a Makira. It's got a drag system in the front. It's a bit like a lever drag. You've got a center pin there that is adjustable, so you set it on 0, adjust the drag to what you want, then move it so that it runs either a quarter turn. Whole different video. Won't go into the drag system on this. Very good reel. I had this rod made. It's not Okuma. It's this one here. It's made by Rod Design, just at Scarborough, and the setup here will just about land a whale. Very good setup, and it's one that I really like using. Again, 30-pound braid. I run a leader that actually comes back to the spool, not necessarily wind on, but probably the best part of 3 to 4 meters of leader, just so that when I'm casting, I can throw a big weight out into the rocks and not worry about the actual braid having any pressure on it through the runner when I'm casting. So let's move on to the business end and show you the rigs that we're using on this shallow reef. We've got 30-pound braid down to an FG knot. This is on the 13.5-foot beach rod with the Makira. So FG knot onto 40-pound leader. And this 40-pound leader, as you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 meters of leader or thereabouts up to a swivel. Now the swivel's just a normal knot. I'm not going to go through all the knots with you because that'd take an eternity and bore you to death. Big 3-way swivel. The 3-way swivels are about 75 kilo swivel. Now that 75 kilo swivel is lengthways, so 75 pounds of pressure that way, or 75 kilos of pressure that way. It's not necessarily 75 kilos of pressure on this one. In fact, I almost bet that if you hung a good line off that, put 75 kilos of weight straight down, that'd bend very easily. This here is called a dongle. Now, I don't know, I'm not sure you can buy these in Australia. You might be able to. If you can, let me know in the comments, because I'm happy to buy them. But I make these, a little bit of wire, a ring at one end, and just a little loop that's crimped at this end that sits over your hook. Onto. Now the next video I do that's not a fishing video will be how to tie the bait on, but that bait then becomes quite a big bait connected just at the bottom of the hook. This polystyrene keeps it buoyant off and away from the reef, and if you've got quite a heavy bait on there and it does get down to the reef, you're going to find that it doesn't hook up and get into the reef anywhere near as easy as what it would if it didn't have this buoyancy. So this is the important part of this rig. Without it, you're going to get snag after snag after snag. Very important part of the rig. Can't stress that enough. The ring goes onto your impact clip, the little hook here. Once it's on that hook, you get back to the swivel, and your main line takes the weight, and this line here, which is your breakaway, once it hits the reef, touches the reef, it literally breaks away and floats around in the current. The sinker will find its way down to the reef. Once it hits the reef, it'll find somewhere in the reef to grip onto. Hopefully you'll be able to get it back, and a lot of times you do get it back, but it's also sacrificial. So sometimes it'll get snagged up, a proper snag. You'll keep pressure on the rod. 10 minutes later when you hook up, and you'll hook up, trust me, you'll hook up. This very rarely gets snagged. It's quite a good setup, this one. When you do hook up and you lift your rod, that 15-pound line there will break. This remains in the reef, and you fight the fish back to the shoreline. If you don't know where to get impact clips, or you want more information on impact clips, just leave a comment in the comments field and I'll get back to you. But they are readily available at most good tackle shops. That pretty much brings us to the end of the video. I'm sure you've got questions. If you do, if you've got any questions or any comments, make sure you let me know through the comments field below. I'm happy to get back to you. And if you've got any ideas in relation to what videos I should be making next, let me know in the comments as well. Hit the like button for me, subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you on the next video. Take care.